think going to Australia and Sydney and doing that for the first year, we realized like how much we needed to go there and like experience that community, like where they live and breathe, and learn about, you know, just everything that they like and what more they want to see, and just, you know, being able to appreciate everybody here and what their experiences are and what they like, which I've found to be interesting because there's a lot of things that, you know, we would expect kind of like from the American audience, but some interesting differences too, and like seeing the vectors through which people have come into the community or enjoying Rooster Teeth and where they come from has been really interesting.
Yeah, and for us, London has always been one of the highest, if not the highest, city in terms of views, that generates views. Mm-hmm. Australia is largest country per capita. It's just got a high viewership, but the overall audience, like the raw metrics and number of views that we get, London's always been either number 1 or number 2 in terms of cities. Yeah, bigger than Los Angeles, bigger than New York, you know, any American city.
So you guys started.
And then when we did Laser Team, I think the theatrical, the engagement for that was the highest
in London.
Yeah, of any place.
And you guys started making render vision, I mean like machinima type
render
stuff.
vision.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's great.
I've heard that in a long time. Yeah.
Do you still feel that there's like a market for it?
For render vision?
Yeah, for render vision, exactly.
I think machinima changed. I think when we first got introduced to our global audience via the machinima art form, because in places like Australia and in Europe, there was a lot more funding for arts and for discussion of the arts. Mm-hmm. So we were invited after, you know, Red vs. Blue became popular. We were invited to conferences to talk about this pioneering method of animation that we were popularizing. And I remember there was all these articles being written about this is going to change the way people tell stories. You know, it's going to really revolutionize filmmaking. And it didn't. That's not what ended up happening. What ended up happening, I think, was there was a pivot in machinima of using video games to tell stories, and instead of being a storytelling method, it became a way for personalities to showcase their skills, and it went from story-driven to personality-driven, and that made the Let's Play movement. And so I look at what is now, you know, streaming and Let's Play and all that. That is the successor to machinima. Kind of inherited the legacy of it. Yeah, the potential for what it could have been.
I was just wondering if you were ever gonna renew any of your machinima type projects.
Yeah, we've done a lot of machinima, but I don't know. Like I say, creative basis. We have no goal of going back to machinima. Red vs. Blue is it. It's our show.
Yeah, I think we like dabbling in it when something strikes our fancy, and it seems like it would be fun to play around in a new game. And you know, everyone in the company plays a lot of games, so when something comes up, you know, that seems like this could be something cool, you know, people will talk about it, and if somebody like really gets inspired and wants to run with it, there's certainly no prohibition against that, but I think we've shifted to where we're more focused on generating our own ideas and IP and figuring out how to execute that in whatever way makes the most sense.
Yeah, even the behind the scenes machinima uses that most people aren't aware of. There's a whole aspect of the company that doesn't really get seen. It's not in front of the camera. Yeah. Where we use machinima for industrial, basically commercial aspects. Where somebody has a video game, we got a reputation for taking a video game, making it look as cool as it can be, but still being the video game. Mm-hmm. So obviously there's a huge commercial application for that. When people get a game and they need to put a TV commercial together, we can get cool shots, and we know how to do those things. But it's even that work we're trying to move away from because it just detracts from the original content that we want to make.
Okay. What was it that kind of pushed you to go into the convention scene?
Well,
our community did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we had been doing conventions, you know, attending other people's conventions like Comic-Con and Otakon Attacks and all these kind of conventions for the longest time because we felt like it was a great way to get in touch with our community. And then I think it kind of just dawned on us like, hey, we're going to this other convention to meet our community. Why don't we just set up our own convention so we can really have a complete experience with the community and everybody can be focused and on what we all love and enjoy and embrace that. And for the audience, I think it was, you know, a great thing because they get to talk to each other online, but a lot of people don't see each other in person. I met two girls last night who had been what self-described best friends for 6 or 7 years that met on the Rooster Teeth site, but had never met each other in person. And finally, because of this event, because they're local, like they got to come.
I probably know the two girls you're talking about.
Oh, did you meet them too?
Yeah. Well, were they at the party last night?
Yeah. They got to meet each other, and they're spending the whole weekend together, and it's like it's just an amazing thing. So I think stuff like that's really special.
Live events are important. We've taken, especially gamers are early adopters of new technology. And so gamers were among the first people to take all their social interactions and put them online, which is great because you can talk, like my kids have friends that live in Sweden, and I didn't have any friends in Sweden growing up. But what it takes away is that experience of seeing people in person. I'm gonna go super young here, but like slumber parties, sitting on the couch playing Nintendo with your friends, you just don't have that because you do all that stuff online, all that interaction. That's why these events are more important than ever, because people are they're missing that, and even if they've never had it, it's still part of who we are. And they want to connect, so people come to these live events, and it's very meaningful to do that.
Is that in essence why you brought it to England now?
Yes, for sure, yeah. And I think people are craving that intimacy and personal connection, and
maybe not so much in England.
Have you been on the tube? Like, don't talk to anyone.
Polite interaction or non-interaction.
Yeah, but it really is a different world now. And Burnie and I both have kids that are teenagers, and like have watched them grow up in a different, kind of different atmosphere where to hang out with your friends, you don't ever need to see them in person. Which in some ways is amazing and great, and in other ways is a little bit isolating, So to be able to break down the walls of that isolation and get everybody together is I think it's a really fun thing.
Do you find that yourself cultivating these personalities, or do they just grow naturally?
Well, I think we are unique in terms of an online creator group in that we have multiple generations of cast and creators, and a lot of groups don't have that. I mean, we're rare as a group to begin with. Most YouTube channels are named after a person, so you see that one person when you go to that channel. But having new talent come in is very, very important to us. It's it's the lifeblood of our company. It helps us discover new people. Like you talk about Ellie, but also like working with Steven Suptic, who's been great. And then Greg Miller, everyone in the Let's Play family, Funhouse a couple of years ago. Finding those new voices and introducing them to our audience is really important. It also helps us get discovered by people who aren't aware of RoosterTeeth as well. And then we were talking about this earlier too, but the diversity of the cast has grown as well, which is really important. And there's been a weird kind of organic diversification too as we just continue to get older. We have this age diversification of the company too, where we make different kinds of content than say like Steven Suptic. We make different things. Even if we both make a vlog, even though you would not call it a vlog, our approaches to that format are significantly different.
Yeah, I mean it's important to us on a number of reasons, and just as creators, it keeps it fresh for us as well. And it's really fun to work with new people, and you feel invigorated by what they bring in and new personalities. And I feel like we've been lucky, been fortunate to kind of be able to keep the overall aesthetic vision of RoosterTeeth pretty much intact. And a lot of that, I think, is because the new people that we bring in largely have come out of our community.
Right.
We've met tons of people at conventions and other events. People always ask us one of the, invariably in Q&As, like, what can I do just to be successful in your field, or what can I do to get a job at RoosterTeeth directly? And we have hired people, like literally, who have stood up and asked questions, maybe not on the spot, but that have come out of conventions. I mean, like one of our first big events that we reference all the time, that really broadened our minds to what the worldwide community was. As after we finished the first season of Red vs. Blue, we did this big event in New York City, and I say big event now, but at the time we just thought it might be like a cool thing where a couple New Yorkers would show up, we'd meet some people, and
hopefully we can fill the theater.
Hopefully we fill the theater, have a couple of slices, and go home, And when we got there, we were like amazed to discover that it wasn't just New York fans, but it was fans from all over the world that had come out. And we met Gavin Free in that process, who was from the lovely jolly old England, and became a huge part of our community.
Luckily his dad brought him over.
Then became a huge part of the company overall, and there was a lot of stories like that within RoosterTeeth.
It was also it was a little bit early on before like everyone had a camera on their phones, but I learned something else at that event was the power of the community and their attachment to each other, what we were building there, we had a sense of it on the forums where you see them together. Like, you get numb to the numbers of the internet. Like for RoosterTeeth, those numbers are 38 million subscribers, 8 billion views. After a while, it's like they don't make any sense. But then you come to an event like RTX and you see, 10 or 15,000 people. It's like, oh, that's huge. You get the sense of the scale of it. Even though if we put up a video and it got 10,000 views, it'd be like, what happened with this video? Maybe we should re-upload it. It's like it's totally different ways to measure things. And in that Lincoln Center screening, Gavin was in the first couple rows. 15-year-old kid from the UK, and somebody discovered that Gavin had never eaten an Oreo cookie, which is a very American thing. They're disgusting. Which we should strike if we ever get Oreo as a sponsor. But they discovered that, and somebody ran out and bought a package of Oreos, brought it back, and they made Gavin try an Oreo, and they're all filming it. And I'm watching them all, like they're filming it on, I shouldn't do like this, because they're filming it on video cameras. And there was like 3 or 4 people who had video cameras who were filming, and it's like, yeah, we're seeing this. It's like when they get together, they make things, and I was curious, like, where are they going to put that? Because it was before YouTube, and they were linking it off their profiles on the RoosterTeeth site. And it was really cool. It was an early lesson that people who watch content want to make content.
What advice would you give to people that want to start up YouTube or they want to start up streaming?
Make a slow motion show.
It's overdone.
It is. It is hard because the environment in which we came up is far different than today. Just YouTube has provided a lot of opportunity to many creators, but in the same sense, it's the flip side of that coin, which is it's provided a lot of opportunity to all creators, for everyone to be a creator. So there's big noise floors, like everyone's making content and putting it online. We have, even with the size of our brand and the recognition of it, we still have trouble cutting through that noise floor. When we launch something new, cutting through that. We can always show it to our audience, but we do make content that we hope will find a new audience, the way Ruby has, where, yes, a lot of people who watch Red vs. Blue watch Ruby, but also people who don't watch anything else. They just watch Ruby, and they've discovered us via that show. But it's hard. It is hard to cut through that noise floor. I would say make content, don't wait. There's no better time to make content in history than right now, and stay consistent, because there's no other formula. You just have to be consistent and continue to make content.
Success is, what's the quote? Success is like 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. I mean, I do think consistency is like, it was true for us back then. I think it's the one constant that's really true now. It's like, if you keep working hard at something, just chipping away, I think you will get there eventually.
And you get better every time you make something. You
get better every time, and you can't let obstacles kind of be your reason for not moving forward. We were just talking in a couple panels about, well, what do you do? People will ask, like, well, what do you do if you don't have this thing that you need or that thing that you need? And there's always going to be something you need, right, that you don't have. But if you look at it from a different perspective, they might just be things that you want, and not actually need. And I also think, like, when you relate it, in a narrative sense to thinking about your characters in a story, like, you look at the second act of any story, it's always about overcoming obstacles. And how are you going to develop and create interesting characters that are inventive and get through obstacles if you're not willing to do the same thing yourself in your own creative process? So, just keeping at it. I mean, that's why keep moving forward is one of our quotes, because we don't always have everything that we need. Even at the rate that we've grown and the size we are now, there's always something more that we wish we had, or another tool in our arsenal. But if you just keep plugging away, those things come in time.
Do you have any advice for YouTube creators in this current environment of apocalypse kind of thing?
Oh, for business revenue?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of our strengths.
Apply to RoosterTeeth.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like one of our strengths has always been diversification.
It's tough though for a new creator.
It is tough, but I mean, there are lots of different ways to make money and do things now. There's a lot of makers out there, and like, if you're making something for a YouTube video, could you also make it for Etsy, or something like that? I think there's almost always another way to look at what you're doing, and I don't know what we learned through several steps and iterations, that you probably shouldn't rely on anybody else's system,
True.
Because those systems are going to change, and you don't have control over them, and you got to focus on the things you can control.
It's like, for example, it's like the different parts of our business model. A lot of these things we had to create thin air because they didn't exist. And nowadays, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't like to do it. Like we would distribute our videos on our website and sell subscriptions to there, but now people can just post their things to YouTube and click a button and they get ad time. We had to make our own merch, which meant we printed our own shirts and stored them in the warehouse and shipped them out. We packaged them themselves and put stamps on them. But now you can just say, hey, make me a shirt, t-shirt company, and they have services that do that. And then for subs, for the first $1 we made for subscriptions, you can do Patreon now. But it does make it easier, but every time you do something that's easier, you're not getting the full benefit of it. And it is hard to establish those things on your own. And it's a long slog, 15 years. But it's been worth it. I'm really glad we took the steps that we made, And the other thing too is if we found something that worked from a business perspective, we never let it go. There were times, especially like late, 2000s, like 2008, 2009, when everyone was like, stop doing everything, don't do merch, don't do websites, YouTube, just everybody, that's all there is. YouTube and Facebook, that's the internet's gonna be just that in a couple of years. And a lot of people did that. A lot of really big companies went all in on YouTube, and we never did that. We always knew it was important to stay diverse.
And from a story perspective, there were times when people were saying, you can't do long form narrative series.
Yeah.
Serialized
Yeah, you
content.
can't do serialized content. We started representing, don't make serialized content.
Yeah, just make one-off, quick hit things that people watch and then forget about, and then make the next one like that. And we kind of thought, well, it's working for us.
It's working for us.
I think we're going to stick with it,
What I said too is my approach with that was, and serial content has, I think, over the last decade too, has become more important because everyone who makes content is dealing with this noise floor, this glut of content that we all have. It's great for viewers. It's also great for content creators. There's lots of funding out there, but you have to figure out a way to get to the engagement level, which is something we've always strived for. And now it's like highly serialized content, like shows like Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. There's huge investment and people watching for a long time, and the serial part of it is important. But when we started, no, you can't make serial content. It's comedy. You have to. It's just like you said. It's got to be episodic. And they start at this point, and then by the end of the episode, you have to reset everything, so it doesn't matter. You can watch them out of order. My answer to that was always, why would I write a show for the people that don't watch it? It doesn't make any sense. Right. Write it for who's watching it.
Was there ever a point where you faced a challenge that almost set you back, that almost made you give up on it?
I mean, we've had a lot of really tough moments over the years. I mean, 2015 for me and for everybody, it was really hard because, Monty, who was our longtime friend and collaborator, passed away. My father passed away that year. It was just like it was a really tough year.
Yeah.
But
and Monty, the core value you're talking about of keep moving forward, it's from Monty. It's something he always said, and I mean, he was unknowingly preparing us for our biggest challenge. We were in Vegas, he passed away, and it was tough. But we had this team that Monty himself had built. We had a lot of faith in the show, and the audience was already there. They weren't what they are today, but there was that core audience that was willing to go through that with us, and it's that was by far, I think, for me, Matt might have a different answer, but that was for me the toughest thing we faced. I think it's hard to compare anything else to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.